They're like, whoa, mate, what, look out!
It's because, there we go. It's because I was holding it on the top.
There we go, that was nuts. That's very professional, mate, isn't it?
I know. You'll be amazed what we use. We'll just turn it down a bit because it's peaking. It's good.
Don't do what I did. Did you hear back when I did Ian Lee's podcast?
Was that the one on Friday where you forgot to turn it on or so?
No, I ran out of battery halfway through. I was like, oh no! But anyway, that's my podcast fails.
No, your podcast is really good.
Thank you.
Really enjoy it.
Well, like I say, I've only just really come across it since we started talking, but I enjoy listening to it. It's another one that's quite nice to just sit and not have to think too much.
Yeah. I think I come from an unusual perspective on mine with being a blog, basically, an audio blog.
Yeah.
Most others are talking about the industry and...
I listened to one the other day and I love how you said something and you're like, no, actually, I'll say that again.
I try and leave that in because I feel it adds more of a...
Yeah, it's real, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not, so you don't want it too edited because life isn't like that, is it? So
Exactly.
So yeah, what do you want to talk about, man? We got some questions.
Well, I've made a few notes just to try and get it worked out. I was going to say, first of all, introduce yourself and who you are. I'll do that properly.
Right. You want me to introduce myself?
I'll introduce you.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Just you'll understand.
Alright, I'll work it out.
Just try and make it sort of light-hearted, just like we are doing.
We can do that easy.
Yeah. I'm joined today with Lee, aka the Skinny Jean Gardener. Been following your podcast for quite a while now. Thoroughly enjoyed them. Really good. It's great to see a celebrity gardener on the podcasting world as well. It's so rare to hear on the podcasts. In the sense of you either get somebody who does TV and doesn't do podcasts, whereas you are based around podcasts from what I can tell. Obviously you do a bit of TV work and stuff. I'm doing this really badly.
No, it works perfectly. You're explaining it very well. I don't generally like being... I haven't been called a celebrity for a while, but I suppose I have done the TV work. But podcasting I do see as my main interest and source of work. Yeah. I love it. I love podcasting. What got you into podcasting? I feel like I'm interviewing you now. Sorry.
I got basically 5 years ago. I was spending so long in my van trying to feed my satisfaction for growing my own, because I would obviously grow it at home. I'd eat it, and I'd want to sleep it. In the bath watching YouTube videos, sort of thing. In the van I couldn't do anything, so I was trying to find podcasts. There weren't out there, so I just went, just join the crew and do it myself, and hopefully that'll kick other people into doing it, and also inspire other people to grow their own food as well. And it is working. It is working.
That's it. So like I say, it's people generally listen. That's my podcast. They listen to it mainly when they're I suppose it's the same with yours. When they're in the garden pottering away weeding, isn't it? It's like makes things a lot easier and time goes fast. And as gardeners, generally we're out there on our own. Yeah. Out in the garden. Unless I've got my daughter with me, who is a right little riot, then I'm out there on my own enjoying podcasts. So it's very similar. Yeah. I mean, I call podcasts the Netflix of the radio world. Yes, definitely. You can jump it like you can. Well, I've got so many to go through yours. Like I've got a binge on your podcast
172
now.
episodes.
So that's a lot, man.
It's been going 5 years, so.
I see.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun though. I enjoy podcasting, and you can literally, like you say, there's Radio 4 do their Gardens Question Time, and have you been to one of their recordings before? Yes, recently actually in Brighton. They're good, aren't they? Yeah. And they're well presented and they're well structured, and it's BBC at the end of the day, isn't it? Yes. And then there's people like us that can go around and we can literally say as what we like, really. Yeah. We can review stuff honestly. We can. I mean, obviously I can't review stuff too honestly, and I've got Steel on board, but you know, pretty much. I mean, I don't need to. Their tools are awesome, but yes, yeah. But you can't recommend. I was thinking about this the other day. You can't recommend a steel lawnmower to leave down an allotment. No, that is a definite. I would not do that. Yeah. I mean, I talk about it a lot about allotments and tools. I don't understand why people steal tools and allotments so much. Like sort of tools and that always go missing. Easy pickings. It's not right, is it? It's not. I don't know how to stop that or how that will ever change. Sometimes when I was down in the allotment quite a bit, spades used to go missing, and they used to be the most rustiest spades in the world. Yeah. Like, who the hell wants this stuff? I know someone that chains their tools to a tree
Yeah.
to stop people taking them. But anyway, I got into a bit of a tangent there. Sorry, I'm going to a bit of a rant.
Oh, it's great. It's great. This is what I like. It's the whole interaction.
That's what podcasting is good for. It's good for having a little rant.
Yeah.
It's good for talking about gardening and inspiring.
Yeah.
And what I've found is it's good for meeting people.
Yes.
Because we would have probably not met without podcasting,
No.
which would have been a dear shame, obviously.
Absolutely. I mean,
And I go and you do a lot of interviews on yours, and
not a huge amount. I think I've had one of my listeners I've interviewed a few times.
which is nice.
He actually took an allotment because of listening to my podcast, which for me made the entire project worthwhile.
Yeah.
I had my friend the Bald Explorer on an interview. I came from him from a non-gardening perspective and walking around my allotment and just getting his perspective on things. And when I played it back, I had him and his second in command, who's kind of getting interested in food. But they came from a non-gardening perspective and they were just amazed at what things look like when they're growing,
Yeah.
such as even onions. They've never seen onions in the ground.
No.
And for me, I found that fascinating to hear that, because
Yeah.
it's just normal to us.
Well, it's normal now, isn't it? But when I first began, I do talk about this a lot. This was about 6 years ago now. I actually didn't even realise potatoes grew underground,
Really?
which is, I mean, I am from Essex as well. I suppose that doesn't help things, but
You said that, not me.
yeah, that's it. Yeah. Oh no, get the backlash on that. When I was younger, gardening wasn't a thing. Like gardening was not something that I really did much for, and food was not important. Where it come from back then, and it is becoming more and more important. And where things are grown, how they're grown is important, and what we eat,
Yes.
getting healthy,
Yeah.
all that sort of thing. It's become more. I'm not gonna say I'm gonna say fashionable. It's a fashionable thing now, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
So yeah, I get that. I do understand that. I've got friends that when I first started my podcast, I got quite a lot of my friends on board.
Yes.
Some of them are just starting their gardening journey. Some of them hadn't even had a garden,
Yeah.
and we were just chatting. And it was interesting to see what they knew, and how much they knew about gardening, and what they thought of the industry as well, because that's always really important. It's a whole nother rant there, isn't it? About to go over.
We could go on for ages.
We
with
really
that,
could,
so,
couldn't we?
Yeah.
But it's interesting to see how non-gardeners see the industry from the outside, isn't it?
Yeah,
Once you're involved in it, especially for people like us that do the whole media podcasting stuff, we sort of get mixed up in it, don't we? So it's like we can't see what's really going on. So it's interesting to see what other people think about it.
Yeah, yeah. You get blinkered eyes, like I say, with the onions. They just seem normal to me.
Yeah.
My friend, he was just amazed at how they looked. And this is a 56-year-old gentleman.
Yeah, that's
not
it.
a
Yeah.
youngster.
It's so strange, isn't it? It's hard for us to really understand now, isn't it? It's like.
Yeah.
I get it's good though. I mean, it's coming in more with kids and stuff. I do a lot of work with kids.
Yes.
'Cause obviously, I do the Blue Peter thing once in a while. I ain't done it for a bit, but kids getting involved in gardening, I notice a lot more. Schools getting involved,
Yeah.
and I feel like myself, didn't do any gardening when I was at school. I had kids come to BBC Gardens World Live on a school trip, and I was like, you guys are so lucky. The best trip I went on when I was younger at school was a tour around the back of McDonald's. True story. Imagine that now, like that would never
Yeah.
happen.
Right.
And kids love it. They love getting out there and getting muddy, and that's what it's about. So hopefully we're going to have a generation of kids that are going to eat healthy, know where their food comes from, and know how to grow their own.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I've got a couple of nieces, and if they come around mine, the first thing they say is, "I want to grow something,"
Yeah,
and they just do it automatically by seeing me do stuff.
yeah,
I was fascinated to see how that will develop, because it's a teenager stage where it might start to waver.
yeah. I think I when I started, it was like got to get kids into gardening, so they do it when they leave school. And look, it's a tough one, isn't it? Like, I'm all up for kids gardening, but I don't know what you were like when you left school and turned 18. The last thing I was thinking about was gardening.
Yeah.
I was going out with my friends, having
Women.
fun. All right, mate.
I was the same.
That's just a rumour. Just a rumour. You know, but the thing is, that education when you're younger is really important, because you might not go into garden industry straight after school.
Exactly.
You might not come back to gardening until you're 25, 26, when you get a
Yeah.
house, or even later on in life. But that education at the start of your life will come
Yeah.
back in the future, and I think that's really important.
I have to agree. I also think our millennial age group as well, they kind of missed out on that whole growing your own.
Yeah,
But they're coming back to it.
yeah,
There is definitely, I mean, the Annabelle who was talking earlier spoke, and when she asked for help from the older generation, they did not want to know.
no.
And that puts a lot of people of our generation off.
Well, it does. Yeah, even when I started, it was like there was Chemical Alan, who was down the allotment, who his shed caught on fire, unsurprisingly. And there was also a geezer. What did we call him? Can't remember what we called him now, but he just stood there every time we walked onto the plot. He stood there with his arms crossed and just stared at us and didn't say a word for like half hour.
Yeah.
Just watching what we did. And I think Annabelle said something like, when she started her plot, people were like, "Oh, well, you're not going to be about for long," and
Yeah.
that is generally the perception you get,
Yeah.
which I do get sometimes, because there's some young people that just jump into things and then do
Yeah.
just jump straight back out if it gets a bit hard work. But there's a lot of good people getting into gardening for the right reasons, wanting to learn more and learn from that generation. Do you know what I mean? They're
Yeah.
important. They're
Yeah,
important
yeah.
people
Yeah.
in the whole thing. When I first started, it was like, old people, ain't know nothing, we're cool, we're down with the kids. And actually, they're really what we need. They're the ones with the knowledge, and they're the ones that we
Absolutely.
want to get involved with us.
Yeah, I mean, I've got one gentleman on my allotment site who is so full of information, he's so friendly. I walk past him and he says hello, invites me in for a cup of tea, sort of thing. But he'll pass on all that information. He's not got any animosity to
No.
anybody. That's what we need.
Yeah, they're the ones that we want
Yeah,
to help out the younger generation. Do you know what I mean? And it gives them something to aspire to as well. Do you know what I mean? Like if you see old Dave down your allotment, you see what he's growing.
yeah,
You think, oh, I really want to do that. Oh, I could do that in the future.
Mm.
That's good. And then if he's helpful, then that's even better. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
So yeah, no, it's good, man.
yeah. How did you get into gardening?
Ooh, that's a big one, isn't it? I left my family home, not because I got chucked out, but because I was moving in with my now wife. And me and my brother were quite close when we were at home. And when I left, we didn't really see each other as much, and it was a shame. And we didn't live far from each other. We lived about 10 minutes from each other, but just still didn't see each other as much as we wanted to. And we were rubbish at football. We were rubbish at music. We wanted to be in a band, but we both couldn't play any instruments, so that didn't work out.
Kind of key for being in a band, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you asked some of my mates that about the band thing. I'm not going to go into it in here, but we were, what were we called? Don't Forget the E, it was called. Good band, mate. Give it a little Google.
I will do. So
and-
are you out there?
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, gardening was something that we thought, well, we could come together. We both don't know about gardening. We could learn together
Yeah,
and yeah, do something as brothers. And
Yeah.
Dale, my brother, got an allotment, which was awesome. He got half an allotment from a priest that he knew. We started weeding this allotment, getting it ready, and then we got on the allotment list. So we got our own allotment somewhere else.
yeah,
So we said, thank you very much, priest. I don't know what his name was now, I can't remember. We'll go to our new allotment. We started weeding that allotment, getting that ready, started sowing things, and then we started asking questions on Twitter and Facebook and getting social media involved and getting a lot of answers. And Jimmy Doherty spotted this, who's
Yeah.
Jamie Oliver's mate. We've got a farm up the road from us. He said, do you want to come and get involved in our allotment and stuff? And we're like, yeah, alright, cool. And so we did an allotment for him, and we had our own allotment going on, and this was all within the first year of our gardening thing. We were really good at weeding, mate. Really good that year weeding. If
Yeah.
you want any hand weeding, we're the people to come to, honestly.
I could do with that.
Yeah, that's it, I tell you. So, and then we were just thrown into the Blue Peter thing after a year of weeding and gardening. So it's a bit of a strange one, and it all just sort of come from two brothers wanting to spend time with each other. So,
Just going to show you how powerful gardening is, though, isn't it?
that's it. It's a good community. There's always a good community around gardening. Really is, and it's no secret. But Dale left Skinny Jean Gardeners because we used to do this together,
Yeah.
go around together, and it was hard that being on my own without him. And everyone was really supportive. Everyone in this industry really just wants you to do well, and that is the one thing that I love about gardening. I really do.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't think I've talked about this before, but so it's exclusive for you, mate. But,
fantastic.
Before I started gardening, I was a really nervous person. I couldn't sit here and talk to you. There's absolutely no way. I couldn't answer the phone. I couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
I used to go out and stuff. I was not like awful, but I was still a very nervous person. I couldn't do stuff, and this really has brought me out of my shell. Like people used to know me when I was a kid. Like, I can't believe you do what you do now.
Yeah.
And that's also why I enjoy it, because it's made me into a more confident person.
Yeah.
And once again, that's all down to garden community and everyone being kind and wanting you to do well.
I'm exactly the same. I'm incredibly shy.
Yeah.
And gardening and the podcasting has kind of helped me out of that shell.
Yeah.
In part because before I think we were talking earlier about our kids, you were teased a lot, or I was anyway.
Oh no, I was awful.
And it has stopped me from pushing myself out.
Mm-hmm.
Doing this and the reception I've received, and the gardening, and mostly the gardening really, just helped me push out that. And again, Annabelle was talking earlier with her anxiety in the past and things like that.
It's weird, isn't it? I suppose, I don't know, we all got an anxiety or us gardeners, I don't really know. I don't know. But it is something that does help people, and the whole mental health thing, gardening is really important with that.
Definitely.
And, I mean, it's being talked about a lot more in the garden industry, which is really important, and I think that's a good thing.
Yeah,
it's a good thing.
Absolutely. What are your plans for the future now?
Well, I'm going to leave you now, mate, and I'm going to drive home.
And I know you're desperate to get home.
No, I'm fine. What are my plans? Okay, well, so I'm all about kids gardening, and I'm all about entertaining kids and putting a different spin on stuff.
Great,
And I want to do that a lot more. I want to get into schools a lot more, and just bring a bit of. I mean, gardening is good. I mean, it's just the way it's put over to kids. I think sometimes I struggle with.
Yes.
And I know adults struggle watching me, thinking, "What is he doing?" But the kids really respond well to it, and it's just making that message for them a little bit clearer and simpler. And that's what I want to do, really. I want to do that and get families involved more in the garden. I always talk about the whole adventure outside your back door and ready and waiting to happen. And it's just inspiring families to do that.
Yeah.
So the more podcasts I can do, the more videos, and social media is such a big thing now, isn't it? So it's a bit of a double-edged sword, isn't it? Because my whole job is about social media and podcasting, yet you're also at the same time saying, get off your screen, get outside. So it's a tough one, but I think podcasts and videos and stuff are a great source of information.
Yes.
That's what it's about.
Yeah.
Don't mean you have to sit there all day on your iPad. If you want to find out how to grow a tomato, then
information's there.
It's there for you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And podcasts you can listen to, as we said earlier, while gardening.
Well, you can learn while you're doing something. That's the brilliant thing about podcasting. It's instant. Like, if you want to listen to something, all you have to do is find what you want, press play. It's not like radio where you have to wait for stuff. If you want to, it's instant listening, and you can be learning while you're doing another task. And I think that's brilliant. I really do.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's the only form of media I know quite like it. We've had radio in cars for years, but it's always when they tell you have to listen to it. It's not when you want to listen to it.
Yeah.
Podcasts have just turned that on its head.
Yeah, I don't know about you. I don't know how much radio do you
I don't listen to any radio anymore. It's all podcasts.
Yeah, and also everyone says, "Oh, what music do you listen to at the moment?" Do you know what? I ain't listened to an album or music. I couldn't tell you who's number one right now for the life of me, honestly.
Yeah.
It's all podcasts. It's all listening. They're not necessarily always gardening podcasts, but just podcasts.
Yeah, yeah.
I suppose that's why we're into this sort of thing, because we get inspired by them.
Yeah.
That sort of media.
Absolutely, definitely. And you've mentioned a lot about kids gardening.
Yeah.
What's your one tip to get a kid into gardening?
Oh, I've got a lot, but my number one is grow your own, because it's important for kids to know where their stuff comes from, all their food. But it's just starting with five seed packets. Just choose 5 things that you like growing, and this year just smash it. Just make sure that you look after them 5 seeds. Then next year, throw those seeds onto like 10 seed packets instead.
Yeah.
When I first started gardening, I started growing everything. Like every single seed pack I get my hands on, I was growing it.
Yeah.
And pretty much 85% of it failed because there was just too much to look after, too much to learn about. If you picked 5 seed packets this year, then just master them 5 seed packets with your kids as a family, and then move on and grow together.
Great stuff, great stuff. I think we are just about done because my battery's just gone on the Zoom.
Oh, you've done a total Ian Lee on me, mate. You've done a total.
I knew it was running low, but literally we got to the end of that.
Good.
That's why it's recorded on there.
Oh yeah,
anyway.
we're still talking, yeah.
So,
Do we record audio?
yeah, let's record audio. Yeah, record audio.
After we talked about it as well. Always, that's my number one podcasting tip, mate. I'll give you a podcasting tip, which I've learned the hard way. Always have
I've got
a full battery.
yeah. Well, oddly enough, this battery normally lasts ages. It was a fresh battery this morning, and I thought, it'll be fine.
Yeah, that's the way it is.
Yeah, but no, that's fine. That's
Cool.
fine. I've got enough in there, and I can fill out. As I said, I've got that as well.
We'll
That's the
work
way
it.
to back up.
It's all real, mate. It's all real.
Yeah. No, that really grateful for that.